Hey, good morning to everybody. Happy Sunday. It's Daryl here. It's not so bright and early anymore. It's 4:30 a.m. here in Connecticut on the East Coast. If you watch my channel, you know 4:30 is a little late for me. All right, I wasn't planning on making this video, and I thought a good I don't know if this is a more lighthearted video really now that I think about it, but I thought I'd do it's looking back, it's a little humorous. I don't think I ever talked about this, and let me fill you in what I'm going to talk about. It's a word of warning, okay? And there is some explicit details, so if you're squeamish and you don't like hearing intimate details, you might not want to watch this, but watch it anyway. Okay, how did I come up with this video? This morning, after I downloaded my first video of the morning, I decided to keep going and see if there's any news stories popping up, checking my views and stuff. And I came across another story. The link will be right down below. I've never watched the show Naked and Afraid. It's kind of coincidental because just in my last video, I mentioned how I was watching the show alone. I was watching reruns of it. And this is the show Naked and Afraid, where the contestants go out into the wilderness. I think in this one, it's island in the Pacific. And there is a problem with a couple of the male participants, the male contestants. They actually find ticks on their lower body parts. And the link will be down below. One guy talks about having ticks on his backside, and the other guy has them on his male parts, and I think he says they're not on prime real estate. And the video, like I said, the link will be down below, so if you want to watch this, you actually can. And it shows one guy sitting very up straight up, and the other guy in between his legs, presumably trying to remove these ticks from a very sensitive area of the male anatomy. And I don't mean to laugh about this. So I had to ask myself a question. Okay, how much is it worth for these guys to go through stuff like this? What's the payout? Because on most of these shows, I love these shows. I love the reality TV and stuff like that. And so I'm thinking it's got to be. I'm watching Forged in Fire this morning, as a matter of fact. It's another show I love. It's $10,000 just for that little contest there. I'm thinking these guys got to win at least $10, $20, $50,000, if not $100,000. I don't know how long they're naked and afraid for, but no, it actually, I can't believe this. $5,000. $5,000. I'm not sure how. I'll have to look how long they're participating in this. I'm guessing weeks. Is it worth $5,000 to have this to have things like this happen to your male anatomy or female anatomy or any anatomy? Bugs ski me. Okay, so that got me thinking. Geez, what's the worst thing that has ever happened to my male anatomy? And I'm smiling here, but this is a word of warning. There's a little more I want to make this a point to this. Back when I was using 2.5 decades, heroin and crack cocaine. And even when I was like 14 or 15 years old, I started drinking. And there was never a time in my life, up until I got clean and sober, that I didn't have a girlfriend. I didn't go on dates. I wasn't intimate. Back when I was, a teen, we're talking about going to the drive-in and making out and stuff like that. I always drank. I always used liquor or something else to slide things along, to relieve my nervousness. To make myself more open or whatever. And I was fearful when I got clean and sober. I was like, how am I ever going to... I could not imagine how people were intimate without drinking, or like in the daytime. Like, how do they actually... I remember thinking this back when when I was going to get clean. How can married people actually, is it weird? It's got to be, I couldn't imagine that. That's sad. But let me tell you this. I swear to God, I found it to be the best relations that I've ever had in my life. It was much more intense. I could actually feel it much more. And this is kind of a personal note here, and I don't want to I don't want to freak people out, but I was never vocal back when I was younger. Maybe that's because, like, when I was a teen, I was hiding in the bathroom, taking care of my own needs, and I had to be quiet. But I found that ever since I've been clean and sober, I can't help but make a lot of noise when the moment comes. Even if I'm just by myself, the neighbors have probably heard me. Yeah, everybody does it. Come on, don't look at me like that. Everybody does it. And I make a lot of noise, man. It just, and the intensity just, it's 100 times more intense and pleasurable than when I was using and numbing my feelings. Okay, so I told you guys I had 2 serious relationships. I was celibate for the first 7 years. And then I got my first girlfriend, a girl I knew from when I was a teenager, Paula. I'll say her name. I mean, there's no way she'll watch this. And we had a very, very, very open, intense, lively relationship. God bless her. I remember one weekend, she wanted to break her record. She said, I can't believe I have gone along with this now looking back. But she said her and her ex-husband did it 7 times in one weekend, and she wanted to break that record. And so I said, of course, I was all for it. And I think we hit 10 times. And I felt like a pencil that was in a pencil sharpener and just getting worn down to a nub. That's what I kind of felt like. All right, but anyway, in one of our lively sessions, we were in a certain position that has to do with dogs and canines, and I was standing, and she was on the bed, and I was enjoying myself, and I think I was being a little too active with my movements, coming in and forward and backward, and what happens? I call it a misfire. Something bent, and right off the bat, I could swear I actually heard a noise, like a crack, and it was just sheer panic all throughout my whole body. And this is what happened. I broke my male anatomy. I never went to the doctor for it. Right as soon as it happened, I removed myself and I looked down, and I have never seen myself deflate so fast. It was gone. I don't know if that was part of it. The blood vessels breaking. This is where it gets skeevy. I ran into the bathroom. She ran in after me. Oh my God, are you okay? And I never ended up going to the doctor, and it swelled up, and the bruising probably was the scariest thing. It was something out of a horror movie. It was purple and black from just below my waistline to my thighs. It looked horrific, but it started to feel better, and I never went to the doctor for it. I don't recommend that if this ever happens to you. But, of course, this is one of the least things you want to go to a doctor for. I can't imagine going in there. I don't want to show this to anybody. I actually wish I had taken a picture of it now, just to remind myself to be more careful in the future. And it did heal. It took a while. It took, I don't know, it was probably a good month or 2. And we had to refrain from anything for a while. And it makes me a lot more cautious to this day. Certain positions, unfortunately, certain positions just scare the hell out of me. I refuse, like with the woman on top, that's not the position we were in. But in that situation, there can be a misfire. So this isn't all just jokes and stuff. Be careful, because this can happen, especially when you're being very exuberant. Be careful, because it does happen. I think everything healed up fine, and everything's fine and functional. I thank the blessed Lord. I actually think it might have a teeny little curve in it, but all things considered, I'm pretty happy with the way it turned out, because it didn't look too good at the time. Anyway, the links will be down below. Maybe I'll put something there on this whole the medical aspect of this, but the link to Naked and Afraid will be right down below. Have a good Sunday.